We have had major news happen this week. Now, when I say major, we knew it was coming. And what I'm talking about is the executive order coming out of the White House. We have known now for a month that it was going to come out, and it was pretty much going to be the equivalency of saying, guys, we're not going to ban crypto. We're just going to learn more about it and start to form our regulation and operate our government agencies accordingly, right? It has caused a lot of both fear and FOMO in the market because A, as we talked about yesterday, regulation will be good for the price of Bitcoin. It's going to give certainty and a kind of a comfort zone to a lot of institutions with billions of dollars who are waiting to get in. So it will be bullish for the longevity of what Bitcoin's price is going to do. Here's the caveat. What we also are seeing in the news right now is that there's a lot of pressure from government agencies to crack down and create restrictions and probably push more centralization on crypto than any of us actually want. So despite the point that the price of Bitcoin is going to go up and other cryptocurrencies are going to go up, what would that be good for if people are starting to get blocked out, locked out, and kept out of using their crypto to actually create wealth and financial sovereignty? So this point came up, and we want to help you guys as much as possible. I knew Harry was coming on, so we asked you guys what you wanted to hear about. There's a thought that XRP and what it can handle actually might be the solution, might become the rescue hero for this problem. And I want to give the floor to Harry to talk more about XRP, especially to talk to any doubters out there, people who are confused, maybe haven't done a lot of research about XRP. Harry, why will XRP potentially be the solution to fight against the centralization of cryptocurrency?
Yeah, so super happy to finally be back and actually talk about XRP. Most of my previous track record has, been mostly NFTs and on the development side, because when I first started learning about XRP and Flare Network, if anybody's really into XRP, I was mostly interested on why people called it the banker's coin. And, like if it's the banker's coin, okay, that could be a transition. That could be a key point on how we move from crypto being completely taboo to where we use this all the time. And so started diving deeper and deeper. And the more I learned about XRP, I started learning, okay, well, people say that this is centralized when in fact it's actually more decentralized than Bitcoin. And then this comes down to the argument of perspective. And, I have a lot of people say one way or the other, well, just like in a bear market or a bull market, that's all perspective. Right now we're in was most likely a bear market if you do the short-term time frame, right? But if you look on the macro scale from when Bitcoin started, we've been in nothing but a bull market since the start. And that's how it was designed and why cost to flow, Plan B's model and all that could still actually be in play. But bringing it back to XRP, they said that it's because it's not proof of work, it is not as secure. Well, the validators, or when you are in XRP, you don't have to do proof of work. So there's not a constant mining or anything. It's actually just a bunch of votes. And this votes are picked on by each XRP node. You have a unique node list that you pick of trusted validators. And this is where a lot of shit has gone to Ripple. Like, they tell you what the UNL is. Well, that's not true. They give you, when you get the code, you can use their UNL if you'd like, but you don't have to. You can choose whoever you want. So in the end, XRP is purely just trying to be a peer-to-peer system of cash. And, with Ripple behind it, it's a company or entity that is utilizing the technology of XRP to have a bridge currency and be better for overall utility. And that's the centralized aspect. But XRP in itself, being the decentralized aspect, can't be changed, can't be messed with. And, this is kind of where I started getting more and more and more into it. And, there's a lot of other projects out there that can do similar things. People think like Stellar. There's also new blockchains that are coming out that are even faster. Like I said, there was Flow, there's Solana. Avalanche, these have similar speeds, if not faster speeds, but they also have centralization that comes with it. So we have this teeter-totter seesaw of how much centralization is good or bad. Moving into these executive orders and where we're moving with crypto regulation, we have XRP currently under litigation and lawsuit of the SEC saying that they are a security and that anybody who purchased or bought XRP is under this claim that they bought a security, which if you've done any research on the Howey test and gone all the way back, XRP does not fall under a security because if you fail any of these parts of the test, you're done. Moving into what we are now, everybody since 2015 has been trying to claim Bitcoin. The CFTC claimed Bitcoin as a commodity because they wanted to have the power to get more money. The SEC is claiming it's a security so that way they can get it, right? So they see how decentralized this is. Nobody knows who to claim it, how to regulate it. And this is how we're getting this executive order now, where a lot of people were scared that this was going to be a huge hit to us when it actually could be a really good thing, because now Biden's telling people like, hey, I want you to look at like, what's the idea of CBDCs and how can they move forward and help us? Okay, how is this, and this going to work? And that's where this executive order's done. He's just kind of gone out there and told people what to do. But the XRP case versus Bitcoin and Ethereum is the most important of all, because this will set the precedence moving forward. Anybody who's been watching the case, we were previously at XRP and Ripple is claiming that they did not have fair notice for being claimed a security, thus they shouldn't be charged with all these things that the SEC is claiming. Well, the SEC has just now 180 their defense against Hinman, who was the former guy who said that he thought his own personal opinion was Ether was not a security. And that's kind of what they were playing on. And now we're in this part where this could take another couple of months. And in the end, I think this is just a big narrative to give the government time to figure out what to do. And it could be a ruse, it could be anything. But the point is, the governments don't know how to control stuff. They did the crypto and decentralization. And this is what we're seeing now over in Russia. And, I see some people don't like XRP, they're Bitcoin maximalists. Well, whatever the case is, I like to just think of us, we're on the same team of crypto and being decentralized. Right now, Russia and Ukraine are in conflict, and we're sanctioning Russia, basically saying, you can't have this, you can't do that. Everybody's agreeing to it. Well, if you've looked over the past 5 days, Monero is up. That's a privacy coin. Zcash is up. That's a privacy coin. And then Bitcoin was up and transaction volume was higher on the European side of the world. So with all of this going on, the decentralization is showing that it can bypass sanctions, that it can work. And now this is where Biden has that this could be a national security threat. So whether XRP is the solution that actually can fix this, crypto in general and blockchain technology is the real solution. And, I know a lot of people don't like XRP. I know a lot of people do. Somebody great to follow this would be attorney Jeremy Hogan, as well as John Deaton. And I know, Tim, you're saying that maybe potentially have Deaton on the show. So
yeah, that's something we definitely want to have Deaton come on. One of the things leading the conversation, something that I used to have this opinion, and I was corrected and actually shown that's actually very false. I used to call this the banker's coin. I used to say this seems to be like the banker's best friend. It actually allows the banks to keep power, until I was able to talk to Matt Hamilton over, I know he works for Ripple, but he was explaining to me, no, you don't understand. Actually, what XRP allows to happen in the banking world is there's not just centralized banks. Like, that's what we know about. We know about the JP Morgans, the BlackRocks, all these other large central banks of governments. He said what XRP actually does is make it a level playing field for the smaller banks to actually compete. The banks that actually are trying to help people and be fair to people and allow people to exchange and make, to take their loans and get things for their family and their lifestyles, they can't compete with the central banks, because the central banks, due to the centralization of it, push out all these small communities. Whereas XRP, if we're going to call it a banker's coin, we should call it the small banker's coin, because it actually allows for decentralization of banking and allows for people to exchange their money in a more fair and appropriate way. What are your thoughts about that accusation and slash what even your thoughts are continuing that?
No. I mean, I think that's 100%. When it comes to being a banker's coin, it gets that name because a lot of people, I think, misunderstand the idea of a payment and settlement.
Yeah.
So when you go to a grocery store and I pay with my credit card for, let's say, some Coke Zero, and I pay, all of a sudden I get to leave with a receipt that says I paid $1 for, well, like $5 now with inflation for a Coke. And as I leave the store, I'm done. I paid. We're good, right? Well, that's not the end of the road when it comes to what happens with the money. You paid with my Visa card. Well, now my Visa is going to call the bank. They're going to say, hey, you owe me this much money. They're going to message them and they're going to get it back. That's the overall settlement. So with XRP, you can now have settlement of multiple different fiat currencies or multiple cryptos over tons of different corridors. And due to its low cost, cheap energy, everything overall, it can start banking the unbanked, similar to things like what Cardano is trying to do in Africa.
Right.
So, there's just so much that can be done with this, and a lot of I just think it's really misunderstood on what it can do. And I said that my goal is to try and educate. Whether you do or don't like it, I'm here for the tech and the expanding of our whole industry as a whole. And I hope somebody takes this XRP and it makes it better. Right there, this will not be the all end all. It's just looking like the best option we have right now.
Well, I know in talking with you, Harry, as we were discussing what we're going to do on the show, obviously you and I are both, we like XRP. We love it, but you talk about how you like to show both sides of the coin. So for anyone in chat who is trying to learn and grow their education on what XRP is, you just laid out a really nice bullish case for it and why it's actually really helpful. It is decentralized despite popular thought. What are some of the credible arguments / accusations you've heard against XRP, and are they accurate? Or do they have no rebuttals, or are there actual good rebuttals to those accusations?
Some of them do have good rebuttals. Most of them come down to whether or not the tech can or can't do what it says. Some of them are down to like, has the network halted? There's been a couple instances where it has stopped, but the fact of stopping versus like a 51% attack on Bitcoin or other proof of works where it can completely rewrite the network, that's something that can occur with XRP or these other this type of consensus algorithm. So, it's one of those other perks. The negative stories on it is that, yes, there are other coins. You could literally copy XRP's code and make it again. And my counter argument to that is, well, the corridors and all of the connections and networks set up across the world are what make XRP different from, say, like XLM. XLM having the next biggest level of corridors compared to XRP with a similar token standard. However, like I said, there's so many different banks and different companies that work with XRP and Ripple as fact. Like MoneyGram used to be one of their bigger partners that everyone knew about. But I mean, from World Bank of Canada, there's Santander, there's SBI Holdings, Bank of America. And then, overall, there's all these new Asian corridors growing, and everybody else doesn't think XRP is a security. It's only the US. And that leads me back to the idea that the reason why I think the SEC and all this is doing it is because, the US has all these agencies, and the SEC is actually the most underfunded of all of the agencies, whether you're talking about the CFTC, the Commodities and Futures Trading Commission, whether you have FinCEN, the OCC, which is for banks, FinCEN is for money laundering. All of these different government agencies, they all want a piece of this crypto pie. So like I said, we had Hinman for the SEC back in the day saying he didn't think it was a security. Then we got CFTC 2015. They said, oh, Bitcoin's a commodity. Everybody's going to try to get their piece of the pie. So with this executive order, I think Biden's sending it out to everybody, and somebody's going to have to pitch their bid. And I just don't think the narrative's over. If we find out they start saying a bunch of stuff that Ukraine and Russia are using Bitcoin to do all this, the whole narrative could change on a dime. But in the end, decentralization will win. The government's having power. They're slowly losing it.
Yeah. Well, what I would also ask, Harry, is so explain the concept of even what we were talking about. How could Ripple, because this is XRP is the token, is the project on it, but the company Ripple, how could even the investment in Ripple, how could Ripple help circumvent some of the centralization that potentially looks like it's on the forecast? Again, like we saw with Coinbase. Coinbase was one of the larger exchanges that went ahead and blocked, I think the number was 25,000 different wallets in Russia. We know other exchanges are doing that as well. They're kind of bending to the power of government pressure, centralized pressure. And of course, Coinbase and exchanges, they are centralized exchanges. They never claim to be decentralized exchanges. The problem, however, though, is that scares a lot of people about putting their money into those exchanges. And now the question is, okay, what exchange could I use for my money to make sure I'm safe so I can continuously buy and use it? Because what good is it to have a fat stack of Bitcoin or Ethereum if all of my ways of actually using it have been blocked, my account's been blocked? How could Ripple and XRP help solve for that?
Well, in this case, Ripple being the centralized unit, this is going back to the UNLs or the unique node list. As if you're running the XRP ledger and you are transacting on it and you want to validate these, you are basically saying that, you are agreeing that you will place a vote and everybody can vote that are these the right transactions. And this is kind of how we differ from other consensus algorithms. Well, in this case, if everybody chose to not use UNLs for people who are transacting in Russia, technically they could, but this would have to be a group authority, not a Ripple in a sense. I would have to look. I am not sure. I don't believe Ripple can just straight up ban wallet addresses, but then in that case, you could just make new ones if that was the case, right? So I don't think that would be an issue in any way, but I think the main part is if it would have to be a group effort versus people like Coinbase, they're just banning the addresses from being used on their platform. Russia still has the option to do other Bitcoin addresses, right? And I think this is why this is just my speculation, why we've had such an increase in all the privacy coins is, Russia was number 11 in hash rate as of, a couple of weeks ago for Bitcoin. So that's how much Bitcoin is in Russia. Roughly there's going to be some kind of dilution rate or inflation rate at some sort, but in the end, there's a lot of Bitcoin in Russia, and then all of a sudden we've seen some unprecedented rise in privacy coins where technical analysis doesn't quite back it. There wasn't anything weird. There was just a huge influx of volume, which is what we don't have on the Bitcoin side. We have the history's lowest amount of volume for crypto trading. So I don't think there's anything that can be done as far as that on XRP, but if anybody else, this would be a great question for like Matt Hamilton or them, the way more tech side on XRP, but I don't believe there is anything that can be done on that side. And then said this is just Coinbase and them being the centralized ones, not actual blockchain.
Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely consider subscribing because we're trying to help you become financially free in these cryptocurrency markets. And also consider following us on Twitter @CryptoJeb for more updates on the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Peace.